Okay, let me go over to the chat room, make sure everything's working right here. Okay. Please confirm, go over to the chat room and please confirm that audio and video are working correctly. And once I have that, I will pull up my document and we'll go. I'm gonna switch to standing. Oh, cool, great, great. Sometimes there's like a lot more lag time and cool, let me make sure I'm not just like randomly. Okay, cool. And I'm back to, I was sitting for a minute because I just got tired of standing and now I am back. Okay, so if anyone's new here, I go off and go to the document and answer the questions for this week and from last week. And then I come back to the chat room. So let me go pull that up and it's ready to go. Cool. So chapter 10, the kingdom of spirit is embodied in my flesh. Say that to myself every day. These are beautiful, by the way. Thank you, Lee. Stop and say thanks. That's something I mentioned on the last call. Environmental awareness, cleansing with fire. Great. Chapter 10. Here we go. Okay, so we have a couple of follow-up questions from last week. Let me look and see how long the list is so I know how much time I need to spend on each question. Okay, cool. Page 181, under what we need to do in summary 8. Oh, right. Let me go grab Rise and Shine. I have a copy up here now. Hold on one second. All right. I wrote this book a while ago, so I need to make sure I'm on page with y'all. 181. Here we go. Summary number 8. Got it. Okay. So, what is this? Note that the whole concept of balancing awareness of 5 million cycles, right? The practice of the Taoist 5 elemental magic is very specifically the use of the 5 elements through the generating and the controlling cycle, so that you understand, like if you feel your kidneys or your liver or whatever it is, you can use the color and the sound and tap into the emotion to heal it. So that's what I'm referring to there. And you can very easily tap into the energies of that and be supportive of those things by using the very methodology that I showed there. With timeline therapy process, I found that the new image didn't completely stick. It felt like I knew that I was actually a bit of untruth, and then within a week I was having trouble seeing the new picture. Like both pictures would stitch as I tried to visualize. What do you suggest here? Do you practice to reinforce it? Yeah, you continually freeze the frame and then reinforce it until the new vision overwrites and becomes programming over the old one. So don't be surprised at all if what you are don't be surprised at all if what your kind of assessment of it is causing problems with kind of like dissonance, because that's just kind of the way of things. And so you will need to keep practicing and reinforcing so that you have a better sense of what the new model will be, and you create that new model in your mind. And the old one it's been there for a while, so don't be surprised if it's kicking and screaming. This week's questions, page 186. Just want to kind of get a sense of where we're at here. Now that I'm actually holding a book. We keep running out of these, and I have some at home, obviously, because I wrote the thing. But we didn't have any in the office for a minute. Okay, page 186. Cool. Just before eating a meal, stop and thank, giving its life and sustaining yours. Thank it. Thank the universe for providing it. Do you have to say this out loud, or is it okay to have a quiet moment in your head? What do you recommend? I always do it. Look, if I'm with people, usually I will just stop and say, hey, I just want to, give thanks for this food and for the company, and, awesome to be here. Something that's just like cool. You don't have to get all weird and seance-y with people, right? You could just kind of say, hey, you know what? Just want to give thanks for this food. Awesome. And if you're in a business meeting and you think it's weird, I do it in my head always. But it's nice to kind of bring it out. I think it's a nice touch. And if you do it without being weird, people are really cool with it. Thoughts on fasting if someone has blood sugar issues? If you have blood sugar issues, fasting is very challenging, and you need to keep your blood sugar stable. One of the things that I recommend for patients who are challenged in their glycemic index is to, like the master cleanse, how people do it, and they'll drink like once every hour and they'll crash their blood sugar, is to have a timer so that every 10 minutes you take a small sip of a limeade, which, lemonade, limeade, either way, like lemon with maple and, for every liter of water, it's 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, 2 tablespoons of lemon or lime, and then 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and that's per gallon of water. And then you sip that every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, so that you keep your blood sugar stable throughout the day, and that tends to work pretty well for hypoglycemics. But work with your doctor on that if you're very challenged there, because you want to make sure that you're doing this right. I'm surprised that you would recommend a juice cleanse for people with hypoglycemia, even if a modified one, since it doesn't contain any protein. Would you explain how it would be beneficial? Yeah, look, it's not. Look, if you could keep your blood sugar stable, one of the major points of doing a cleanse is to allow for your peptidases, allow for your hydrochloric acid, allow for the systems that are in charge of breaking down peptide bonds that are, from proteins to amino acids, so that we could take branched chain amino acids and kind of integrate them into our physiology. That system has been compromised because most of us are deficient in ATP to be able to do that right. And so we have magnesium deficiency, we have hydrochloric acid insufficiency, as I mentioned. And so just giving that system a break really allows it to reboot, so that then when you do have proteins, you could break them down much better. And so for people that are challenged, now we're starting to cross over into a little bit of medicine here, is for people who are challenged, I will recommend a hydrochloric acid supplement. And magnesium supplementation, I recommend they chew 30 times, 36 times before they swallow. And I recommend they stop about halfway full, because what's happening is they're throwing the example I used in the book is, you're throwing this big log on a fire and it just chokes it out. And that's not cool. It's not how the body wants to deal with food. So giving it smaller morsels, giving your body what it needs to break those down helps. Doing a juice fast will help really kind of call those troops off for a week or 2 days or whatever you're doing, and let them kind of like go back to the barracks and clean up and kind of fix things. And then you'll find that the enzymatic activity, and you'll find that the secretion levels start to do better with a little break. So again, I'm not saying juice cleanse all the time. You know how much I talk about protein, right? It's very helpful and supportive of the physiology to take a little break once in a while, especially when it comes to that stuff. Does Qigong rule of not eating 60 minutes before, 30 minutes after apply to all the spiritual practices, including the vibratory state? I think at the vibratory state in particular, yes. The rest of them you could get away with. Anything that moves qi is a bit of a challenge because if you have food in the gut, it's the middle of your body. It stops the free flow of energy, and so that's the kind of point there. So if you're doing something where you're thinking about your dad and kind of forgiving, or you're doing 5 elemental magic and all kind of more kind of mental Shen oriented stuff, you could get away with it. But anything that's actually moving qi through your physiology, honor that rule as best you can, because that will it will impact the flow. Page 191. For the words of the fire cleansing process, should we use these words verbatim or just a general list? If our intention is that we use the fire as a cleansing ritual, is that enough? The words are always a suggestion, and so I use this is very much. I shouldn't have said state the following. I should say something like the following, because that's much more my style. I guess I've changed since 2009, huh? But yeah, something along those lines, and then use fire to do it. But if it's just your intention for the ritual, I would actually use the fire. Tapping into an actual element goes a long way, and it's very challenging with intention alone when you're a novice at this to nail it. And call on an element. I mean, fire is freaking pure, man. So use that pure element to leverage the practice in a way that will be supportive of the outcome that you want. When I have done this with a candle, I felt like I wanted to almost use the candle to get very close to me, to feel the heat and energy in my field. Is that appropriate? Don't burn yourself, obviously, or is this a visualization thing? Do what feels appropriate, but don't burn yourself. When you're talking about actual like Shen Gong, looking at it needs to be at a specific distance. There's practices that I teach for that. But for this fire purification ritual, if you feel like it needs to be closer within your energy field, go for it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Trust that, right? Just don't burn your clothes. Please tell us the reason for the frankincense or sage to purify the room. Can we burn some dried sage? Yes. Are you talking about some essential oil? Should we do? Yeah. I use frankincense. I'll burn or diffuse frankincense and sage all the time. Like I'll smudge with sage. It's very, very user friendly, and it really does. It helps. It brings in pure spirits. It drives out kind of nasty spirits. It is very supportive of the work that we're talking about here. And there's just, look, there's plant spirit medicine. These plants have energetic qualities that are very, very powerful, and they have spirit medicine that is associated with them, and they have personalities, and they have tasks, and they are allies. And so I will take an essential oil in a diffuser, but I have this little like kind of glass thingy with a candle under it. And so you just pour the essential oil in there and light the candle, and then it just kind of like, diffuses into the room. But with sage, I'll go wild harvest my own kind of California white sage, because it's the good stuff and I know where to find it. Then I will burn that selectively in the house. I have a little bowl. I'll put it in, and I'll just walk around. I'll go to every corner. I'll visualize it going into the corners, and I'll put white light in the corner, and then I'll kind of circle and do a little Chan Su Chen, which is my kind of Taoist incantations. Cleanse the room, clear the room, invite all spirits that don't belong back up to the light, and just make sure that I've conducted the right spiritual hygiene, and it goes a long way. Let me check Chat room real quick, make sure I haven't lost anybody. Lee's saying, please explain smudge with sage. So smudging with sage is, there we go. Smudging with sage is basically taking a stick of sage, they bind it together so it dries, and then you kind of light it on fire, and then you just kind of let the sage smoke blow into an environment around a person. You use it to kind of purify energy fields. You use it to purify a room. And so smudging's been around for a very long time. Lots of traditions do it, and I think it's really good stuff. I think it's very effective. In the past, I instinctively felt like I wanted to light a candle regarding an issue as a way of letting it go. For example, incident that I couldn't get out of my mind. I blessed the person involved who was unwell, wrote some notes, then burned the note and buried the ashes. I found that useful for letting the issue go. Was I unknowingly doing a fire cleansing ritual? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's a big part of it, right? Is we have this in our DNA. Or grandma used to do it, or something. You know, this has been around for a very long time, and it has been helping people for a very long time in multiple traditions. So yeah, great. Do you recommend lighting a candle quite regularly, say at the dinner table? Yes. I like lighting candles every night. Should you leave this for a bit more ritualized? Again, do you need to say these intentions out loud? No, I'd like to light a candle because it keeps the room pure, and it keeps the energy pure, and it keeps the ambiance good, and it helps, you know, kind of connect us with the elements. Now, that being said, I wouldn't be doing like some sort of like deep personal unearthing of my kind of demons at the dinner table. So have that be for what it is. And if you want to go do a fire cleansing ritual, go lock yourself in a room and do that too. But I would not limit my use of candles to just the fire ritual. I think candles are very good for ambiance. I think they're very good to purify the room's energy in general, and I think that they should be used a lot more often than they are in the modern world. So yeah, go candles. I want them back. So our vibratory state is an always existing thing, energy layer, not just relevant when we are doing a cleanse. No, I mean, we're always vibrating, right? Like I'm standing here right now and, you know, I feel like my shoulder's kind of dipping in from my old shoulder injury. So I kind of pull it back and I'll just let things vibrate through. So there's always a vibratory state. There's just a repression of that vibratory state by our storefront, which is here, you know, trying to talk to you guys. And so, you know, if you don't want to always be in the vibratory state, but you always want to feel what's happening and allow your body to move so things don't get stuck, so you don't have to rattle things around all the time, right? Like I would have to do lots of work on my shoulder if I didn't constantly check it and be like, bring it back, dude, bring it back, right? So it's always there. Do you keep the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth at all times during a vibratory cleanse, even when exhaling out the mouth? No, I mean, sometimes it's just flying all over the place, right? So in general, you want it to be linked up, but sometimes if your instinct is you're flopping around like a fish and you just need to kind of cathartically discharge, you could unplug the tongue and breathe out your mouth and frickin' yell if you need to. Like, yeah, I've been there, right? Absolutely. If we become aware of a topic that needs addressing, but it isn't an appropriate time place, do we suggest we make a note of it, set aside some time to do a dedicated vibratory ritual? Guess the small thing, we can shake it out. Yeah, I mean, look, if something comes up for me, and things always come up for me where I'm just like, oh, you know, that's a thing. If I can kind of say I love you and bless it and forgive it and things right there on the spot, I do, and I constantly do. But if it's something that comes up, I will take a note, or I will take just a mental note, and then when I get into my practice, I'll let that kind of come up. But what I'll do is in my Shen, I'll say, next time I get into the vibratory state, I ask that you come up to be excused and discharged. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for the reminder, and now it's time. Now it's time for you to be free. So I'll actually say that to the energy, and then, I'll just program it into my subconscious. So next time I'm like, I got some time under the moon or something, I'll let it fly. You're right. Breathe into the area. What does that mean exactly? Visualize the breathing moving through the area, cleansing it. Yeah, like, okay, so here, my shoulder just dipped in. I'm literally going to inhale into my shoulder. Like as I inhale, I feel, I like watch the energy as I inhale into the shoulder. So close your eyes and inhale into a body part right now. Fill it up, because your lungs will fill up with oxygen, but your body will fill up with chi. Move the chi on the inhale to whatever that body part is. And then exhale, discharge. Yeah, bring life to it. One of the most primitive and effective practices of Taoism and Tao Yin is simply breathing into a body part that's ailing. It's incredibly powerful, and I think that, if you were to just do that, you would be in a pretty cool place. After a vibratory release, I feel really satisfied with the outcome, but a few weeks on, I feel like it's bubbling up again. I guess it's quite normal. So do you just go at it again and again until this thing is resolved? Yeah, absolutely. It's like layers of an onion. And so I would do timeline therapy with it. I would do vibratory release with it. I would just, don't stop digging. Don't stop digging. Don't think you're done. You're never done. And the more you just kind of let things kind of cleanse and flow and heal, the less it's going to impact you and the less it's going to burden you. And so the vibratory state will allow for you to discharge the bioelectric energy signature of this trauma from your body and your energy body. But a lot of these things have infected us on a mind-spirit level. So then as we start to clear and we feel better and we have the clarity when we sit down in a meditation, we can actually like address it and bless it and forgive it and understand it and kind of move on from it. So they work, it's kind of a two-pronged approach. Keep digging, keep digging. In the spiritual purification for metal, you talked about being exposed and a lot of chaotic energy spewing off you. Then you say on page 194, some people who are empathetic can absorb vibrations easily. Page 195, you talk about convulsions and feeling like you're dying. Since I'm ultra empathetic, I absorb vibrations way easily, and anyone else I know. You make me almost frightened to try these vibratory release. You explain it well, but should I do this one? Maybe I'm afraid things will get too out of control, and that is the issue with me. What do you think? It's a challenge, right? Because it's going to bring up a can of worms, right? And this is not a weak exercise. It's going to kick your ass. But you know what? What I would do is probably get someone that you trust that can be in state with you and be supportive of you and help you go through it. I mean, whether it's a therapist or, just someone who knows what they're doing and can contain you, right? And let it go. I mean, look, no one's died doing this stuff, right? It just feels like you're dying. So, and just don't go into a room of people. If you're that empathetic, I would not go into a room of people doing this because you don't know how to protect and shield yourself enough. But to do it yourself, yeah, you need to do it. You need to heal. So just make sure that you can do it where there's someone there, so you don't fall over and hit your head or something crazy. But it'll feel good. It'll feel good to let go because you probably haven't in a while, right? Almost there. I'm trying to keep up with all these questions. Reading on the vibratory state reminded me of the process of reclaiming your power in chapter 9. One is about movement, the other focuses on the heart and forgiveness. One releases trapped energy into the earth, the other allows us to reabsorb trapped energy. Do the movements in the vibratory state release specific negative energy that we'd better not reclaim? I'm a little bit worried that I've been reclaiming negative energies in the first place, with the first practice. No, listen, if you're pulling energy up from earth, I wouldn't worry about it at all, because the earth will cleanse all things. The earth will take manure and push flowers up. So just let your negative energy draw into the earth. Mother Earth is very kind and forgiving. She will take care of it and draw energy back up from the earth and you're not going to pull negative energy. You could pull negative energy out of a boiler room floor in a stock trading house, but not from those two exercises, not at all. On page 205, the ancient Taoist teachings tell us that once we've come back to balance and harmony within Tao, then all action becomes spontaneously inspired and driven from the power within versus mental reactions to emotional charge. This is a wonderful place to be and cultivate, but we need to bridge that gap by taking the edge off the deeply seated pathology, fighting a problem and attempting to do something about it. We're fighting imbalanced action with more imbalanced action. Please elaborate on taking the edge off this deeply seated pathology of finding a problem and attempting to do something about it. So many of us come with past trauma. So many of us come with stuff that we've been carrying around that, yes, the ancient Taoists dealt with, he said, she said, mom wants me to be a magistrate and dad wants me to do this, but I want to be a monk, and whatever the hell drama looked like 5,000 years ago on some Chinese mountain. The world's a very complicated place. There's a lot of crazy things we go through. There's a lot of sexual trauma. There's a lot of emotional trauma. And so understanding that we can get into the free flow, and then when we feel that there's something standing between us and that free flow, that's where you take these practices that I've laid out in the book and surgically use them to cleanse and clear and help them get things out of your way. Can we get a water filter for our bathtubs? Yeah, absolutely. They have full house water filters. You just set them up like in your garage, and they'll filter the water for the entire house, and I find them to be very useful and very good. So I highly recommend that. Could you bless a mug instead of glass for water? Yeah, absolutely. You could bless anything. Sneaking a peek to the next chapter, page 225. Too many people are walking around with their energy fields tied down. It almost appears like a series of umbilical cords that are piped into the lower dantian. I was taught to follow those cords or threads of energy back to where they're attached. Most of the time I found the other side of the cord attached to a parent or family member. When teaching the patients how to cut these cords and seal them off, they started to wake up as their energy stores became available to them for the first time. Okay, so how do we do this sealing off the cords? Visually seal them, like cut the cord, tie it in a knot, seal it, and absorb it back into your body so you don't even see a cord, is how I would do that. And really visualize the cut, tie the knot, pull it back into your body, seal it, just see nothing but your beautiful, healthy skin where the cord used to be, and cut it off. If you ever see anything else kind of reaching out and grabbing tentacles on you, do the same. Keep doing the same. You'll find yourself much more energized, much happier, much more free. Now go welcome that baby girl. Yes, ma'am. Thank you all so much. Yeah, we're just waiting. I mean, literally just waiting on this kid. We have no idea when, but soon. So I just want to make sure I got out ahead of that and hung out with you guys today so that I don't miss you guys. Real quick, Penny, thanks for the explanation on how to digest impact of flow chi. Now I better understand why I shouldn't eat immediately. Oh, cool. You got it, Penny. Okay, guys, wish me luck. Hopefully I'm a new dad by next week. When we talk again, and all is well, it should be. And yeah, thanks for being awesome, and I'll see you in our next deal.